Alright, my name is Tristan Kinder. For my research project I did kind of like how a motor works and what it takes to keep an engine running and stuff like that. Just the the bare maintenance and just the essentials to it. And I'll try and keep it kind of simple, otherwise I'll be here all night talking about it. So first off, obviously it takes gas. Some trucks take diesel, some trucks take gas. So first you're gonna always have to have gas in a gas tank, which just comes over here. So with your gas tank, most cars will hold about 25 gallons, and then it has something called a fuel pump in it, which pumps the fuel from the back of the car. Sometimes they're in the front, but pumps the gas from the back of the car, comes all the way up, and follows the fuel lines, come up to the front of the car, which is where the motor is. Now we get up under here, get up under the hood, over here. So when we're looking at an engine, we have things on top of the car. These are what called coil packs. This is what tells your spark plugs, which is what ignites the fuel inside the cylinder head. There's a few things that it takes to keep a motor running. It's going to be spark, combustion, fuel, and air. That's what takes it for a motor to keep going and not stop. Well, in this truck, this is what we call a push rod motor. It's a very simple motor. This is why I choose to do this one over any of the other cars at the house right now. And this motor, this is a V8, so it's got 8 cylinders, which means that in each cylinder it's going to get a certain amount of spark, a certain amount of fuel, and a certain amount of air. That air is controlled through this thing right here. This is called a throttle body. This, when I put the gas further down, it opens up further, sucking more air in. Right over here we have something called a mass air sensor, which it calculates the amount of air going into the motor, which then tells the ECU, the ECU is basically the brain of the whole car. The ECU tells you everything you need to know. It'll tell the car exactly what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and how it needs to happen. So the ECU is going to read the amount of air coming into the motor. It's going to go and it's going to tell, we have 3 parts air, we need to add 4 parts fuel. And it'll do the math itself. That's not a very accurate assumption of it, but it's there. So when we get into a motor, we'll take it apart. If we were to take it apart, you'd be able to see these things called pistons. Pistons are on something called crankshaft, which go up and down, and they're on a rotation. So as it rotates, it pushes it up, causing combustion, which causes a little chamber of fire to happen, which then also pushes it down. And it does that multiple times on each cylinder, and then that's what you get to rotating. That's why it's called a rotating assembly. So basically, all in all, it's pretty simple to take care of a motor, and it's pretty simple to how a motor works and everything. If you just keep oil in it, and you keep fluids in it, like coolant, oil is gonna be right here, and you keep good fuel, keep good air, it's very easy to take care of a motor. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with a motor, and with a very simple motor like this, there's not many things that can go wrong. Just keep fuel, air, spark, and combustion, and you're gonna be okay. That's about all I really have. I mean, my research project was just about how a motor works, and just the basics of it. Like I said, I could go more in depth, but then we'd probably be here all night going over the exact thing that happens, and every time that this happens it's because of this, and this. But in all honesty, all you need to know is the basics on how it works, and that's really what my research project was about. So that's about all. I had some some research topics that basically said if you keep good air, if you keep good fuel, you'll also help with gas mileage and keeping the environment better. If you have more restrictions and just on an exhaust system, we have something called a catalytic converter. The catalytic converter basically takes the fumes and the byproducts of a combustion motor and consolidates them down and turns them into other things like oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water, and which are a lot better for their environment to deal with. So that's one of my researches went through that, and then another one was about oil and how oil works and how it stabilizes the motor. Basically, the whole reason why oil is involved in it is because when you have stuff that is moving constantly and grinding against each other, you want something that's inside of there to lubricate it. So that's what oil does. Oil gets in between every crevice and creak and everything about a motor that is rotating, grinding, touching other things, and it puts a little shield between it so that not metal on metal, instead it's metal, oil, metal, and it just keeps things lubricated, and it aids the process. Instead it would otherwise when it got really hot, things would expand, and then they would do something called fusing together, which is when, if you ever see a car that doesn't run anymore and they say it's frozen up or it's welded together pretty much, it's basically saying that that engine was run without fuel, or not fuel, it was run without oil for an extended period of time, or not enough oil, and the components inside the motor got so hot that they like pretty much welded together. They friction welded together, so there's no way of breaking it apart. Now, some cars you can. Some cars it only happens because it's been sitting for a long time and it's rust welded. But a lot of the times, especially on newer vehicles, it's because the owner didn't put enough oil in it, didn't keep the oil maintenance up, and it decided it needed more oil and it didn't get it, so it welded itself back together. So like I said, that's pretty much all it comes to, when it comes to a motor. If you keep gas, fuel, and combustion and air, you can keep a truck running for a long time. It's the simple things like that, and that's really what my research project was about. Is just about bringing awareness and making it easy for everybody else to understand. But that's it. Thank you.